So some of the other things that I want to do are physical challenges, like I do want to complete an Ironman before I'm 40, Ironman before I'm 40, before I'm 40. And that's when I got hit. He hit me all down here, bounced me off into the other side of the road. It's currently Tuesday. It is the first day of the newer measures, the tougher lockdown laws, the 1 exercise per day laws. And I am just officially putting it out there now that I am going to really struggle. This is it. You are literally looking at someone that has just done 150 kilometers on the bike, 5 hours, and then an hour run, done. That is the end of 3 years of training for me. And now the taper begins. So phase 1 is all the training, phase 2 is the taper, phase 3 is the race. Hi. I am not afraid to admit that this week has kicked my bum, like beyond anything that I'd expected. And it's not because it's taper week, although it is taper week, and that's where the mental mind games begin. It's just been the most crazy week at work as well. And I mean, look at the bags, look at everything here. Like, I feel like 10 years older than I did from last week when I was training hard. But I do know that a lot of this is psychological, a lot of this is just fatigue I can shed very soon. So I'm going to talk you through the taper, I'm going to talk you through my plan for the race, I'm going to talk you through everything I can think of that might help you in your training. But I also need to have pancakes. That's a need, right? That's not a want, that's a need. I can't wait to eat this. I am hanging on, but I'm going to talk in a minute about tapering, because actually there's a science to it, a really, really solid, robust science that I want to kind of give you the information about, but I want to also reassure you that a taper is more likely to go right than wrong, so we're going to guide you through it, or I'm going to guide myself through it, because it's what I'm in at the moment. I should probably explain what a taper is. Oh my goodness, that's lovely, Mary. But I'm going to eat my pancakes first. Oh my goodness, that feels 100 times better. There's something about having a shower, and in particular, by the way, a cold shower. Oh, just sat on a pair of shorts. That really spices you up for the day, so I feel slightly less tired. And I'm going to tell you what a taper is. I mean, simply put, a taper is the period of time between the heaviest part of your training and the race, where you try and shift all the fatigue and all the training stress and all of the tiredness, and you try and get yourself fresh so that on the race day, you can give it everything without feeling a hint of tiredness. That's the easiest way I could put a taper. But the things people panic about when it comes to a taper is how to get it right. How long before you do an event do you taper? How long before you do a specific distance event do you taper? And is it different for the distances? And yes, it is, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. And it's all of those things. And also, as you may know if you have already tapered before, and as the athletes that I coach and myself know, the taper can be a dark place, because you are absolutely sure in your head you're losing fitness and you need to do some more, whereas in fact it's the point where you're gaining fitness and freshening up. It's a mind mess. But a good coach that I spoke to on Instagram a while ago, Chris Bird, he was on our podcast. He talked about Canova training, if you've listened to that, but He was telling me, and I always remember this, he was telling me about taper, and I think it was England Athletics did a study about when, before the event, are the best times to start the taper. As in, how many weeks before a race is the best to do your hard sessions and get the best adaptations, and when is it completely pointless to even do hard sessions because you will receive no benefit for race day. So what England Athletics found out, that there was a sweet spot for physiological adaptations to take place, and that is, put in simpler terms, the changes that come in your body from training. There's a sweet spot for them to happen that is between 12 and 4 weeks before your event. So actually, that's a lot further out than most of us anticipate and think and would taper from. There are still benefits from 3 weeks out, but you get to 2 weeks out from a race, there's really minimal benefits. So I'm going to show you here, because this is my presentation whiteboard, what England Athletics found out in the way of percentage physiological adaptation that takes place over time. And in fact, between 10 and 7 weeks out from a race, you still get this amount of percentage adaptation, which is actually quite a lot when you think about it from your training. This is where it gets interesting. 6 weeks out, that is the amount percentage-wise of adaptation that you get from your training, which is actually, that's pretty huge. Same as 5 weeks out, 4 weeks out, and even 3 weeks out. So 3 weeks out, you can see it dipping that little bit under. So even 3 weeks out from your race, there are adaptations that happen. It is worth still training hard, but it's not as beneficial as 4 or 5 weeks out. And then you get to 2 weeks, 1 week and 0 weeks, and it's not worth training hard. That is when you really taper. That is when you really start to wind it down and try and freshen up. Because I truly, truly believe that you can't get fitter 2 weeks to go before your race. You can only overtrain yourself. You can only overdo it and get to the start line feeling really tired or really overtrained. But can you under taper? To answer that question, I'm going to show you my bike, because some people have been asking about my bike and what it looks like with the disc wheel on the back now, the Easy Disc. So So that is the race machine. It does need a bit of a clean up, to be fair. I went out on it last week, as you saw, and did 150 kilometers, and I haven't washed it since, but I'm going to, so don't worry about that. And I went out with the Easy Disc, which probably took about an hour to fit, but definitely felt faster while I was out there, and it's really difficult to know, even when you cycle the same course, if you're actually faster. But it felt like the conditions were good, and I was certainly cruising along at perhaps a kilometre or two quicker than I usually would for the same effort. So that's all really, really positive for me. Anyway, I've had to put the bike away, and you'll find out why in a minute, but tapering quickly, how I'm approaching my 3-week taper, and I would suggest for marathons and Ironman, things like that, 2 to 3 weeks would be really good. Definitely Ironman for me, 3 weeks is a must. All I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the volume 75%, 50%, 25% in the last week. So each week I come down just by about 25%. I don't want to just reduce it to nothing straight away. However, this is the important bit. If I don't make a session, it's fine. I'm not going to sweat it. I can't do anything really to improve my fitness from here other than allow myself to rest and let the fitness gains happen while I'm resting. So I'm not too bothered, I'm not too fussed, but that is my aim. And they always say that you should really try to keep the intensity while reducing the volume. So if you're training for a 5 or 10K, then you might want to keep the intensity but reduce the amount of, say, reps of the 1Ks that you do. Or I don't have any intensity really in my Ironman training, so I'm just reducing volume and keeping the intensity the same, which hopefully will work for me. I just want to get to the start line feeling rested, feeling good, and right now I feel like I'm in a fog, but that is very natural for a taper. I'll tell you what I do need though, to sum all this up. I think you know where this is going. We definitely need a little bit of car chat. I am gonna struggle to put energy into this. What about you?
I can't even see.
Man, well, warts and all videoing, right? This is about the good times and the hard times, and right now we're both the equivalent. I always think it's the equivalent of when you turn a car off when it's getting near the end of the petrol and you just kind of put it, no, you don't turn it off, you put your foot on the clutch and let it go downhill.
Oh my god, we are so tired. I've got a cold sore, which apparently people don't notice until I tell them.
So why did you mention it?
And I've got insect bites that have reacted really badly, so I can't even run because my ankle's swollen up.
You have a cankle at the moment, don't you? Anyway, it is what it is the saying of the last year and a half. We roll on. We're 3 days away from finishing where we work, at the school we work at, for good, forever.
It's going to be an emotional one.
Yeah, it is, especially for you. You've been there for 7 years.
Yeah.
But we're also 2 weeks away right now from my race, and I guess the point of the whole thing, talking about how to taper and why you taper, and I'd like to sum it up by kind of putting across to you that the important thing for me, and this is just for me, it might be different for other people, is I want to be there at race day feeling happy. It might not be the perfect taper. In fact, I was due to run or bike today as well as swim, and I've made the decision not to because my back is tight and I'm like, I can't get any fitter from here.
Yeah, and there's no point kind of doing something when you're so tired and run down. Your priority has to be like re-energizing and resting so that, yeah.
Yeah, I have no doubt if I get to race day happy and without any niggles, which I don't currently have, so I shouldn't have in the next 2 weeks.
I think the main thing is for you now resting.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because
shedding the fatigue.
Empty. Yeah.
And people say sometimes if you're doing a smaller distance, if you're doing shorter distance, then obviously that's a slightly higher intensity. So people say keep the intensity in your taper and reduce the volume, but I don't have intensity in my training. It's not there, and it never was, unless it was like over the winter way back.
Yeah, it's different to training for like a 5k or 10k or half marathon.
I mean, and the taper needs to be shorter for those anyway.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. My aim here is to get to race day feeling happy, mentally, physically, sleeping as much as I can as soon as we break up from school.
Yeah.
And not having a perfect taper is absolutely fine. I'm okay with it. Now it's just getting there, right?
And I think also in your taper, you want to fuel your body right. So eat some really nutritious, good food so you're feeling great.
And that again, that just feeds into the mental side of it, doesn't it? It's all a mental game. This taper lark is, you can't lose fitness with 2 weeks to go. It's just not going to happen physiologically. It's been proven. You can only sharpen up. You can't gain fitness, but you can shed fatigue. And
yeah, your fatigue on your training peaks was so high.
Yeah, it was over 100, wasn't it? If you're thinking of tapering out there, or you're wondering how, then I hope the video has helped you, because these are just my thoughts spewed out onto a video. And if you're racing soon, good luck. Let us know what you're doing. We'd really love to hear, because there's some big races going on tomorrow. George is from Fitness Freaks. George is racing at the Middle Distance English Championships, so there will be a video of that coming next week. The Fitness Freaks get together, me, George and Sam. Believe it or not, Sam and George have never actually met each other.
But I feel like they're
Isn't that weird?
Really best
They're mates,
friends.
yeah. Well, they're really good mates, because we've done Fitness Freaks, the podcast, but they've never met each other. So that's coming next week. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, however you're doing it, make sure that you find the joy in it, I guess. And we'll see you Wednesday. What are you going to say?
I was just going to say I'm going to find the joy in lunch and a rest afternoon.
Yeah. See you later.
I didn't say goodbye again.
Do you want to say goodbye?
Bye!